Hey everybody, welcome to American Courts. Let me get this video started for you. We got Judge Buchanan in Hill, Michigan. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. Let's go get her started. We got Emily, Fozzie, Nan, Rivette. Looks like we got ATX Eileen. We got a whole handful of other people in here. So let's see how we get going there. Let's see. It's wanting to play games with me today. I love this. Oh, looks like we got Linus in there. How about that? How about that? Now, if we can just get the video to start, we'll be good. All right.
On the record in State of Michigan versus Eric Chapelle, 2201361FY.
Matt Nagel for the people.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Chapelle.
Are you Eric Chapelle?
Yes, I am Mr. Chapelle, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, so the first matters we have for the court is in 221361, we have a PA 53 violation as well as apparently a sentencing that Mr. Chapelle missed October 3rd. We decided what we're doing about this PA 53 issue.
Your Honor, my client will plead guilty to that violation.
Okay. We'll do that first then. And then just fair warning, it looks like Mr. Chapelle was scheduled to be arraigned on a couple of dog cases for this, the 18th. And so we pulled those so we can take care of those while he's here today rather than having him up here on the 18th. Okay. Mr. Chapelle, it is alleged that you violated conditions of bond. If that's true, if you violated bond, you face a possible of 2024, and that bond included do not commit any crimes while on bond, do not have any direct or indirect contact with. It is alleged that you violated that order of no contact when you operated a motor vehicle without a license, which would violate the do not commit crimes while released, and that when you were found on October 25th at 11 a.m., you also had Tara in your car, which violated the order of no contact. You have the right to have an attorney. Mr. Rowley's representing you. You have the right to have a trial, not by a jury, but just by a judge. However, at that trial, you have to be proven that you violated a court order beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand the possible consequences of contempt?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you intending to plead guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that if you choose to plead guilty, you'll be giving up your rights. There will not be a trial on whether you're in contempt of court.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Chapelle, is it true that you were arraigned in this case, I guess, on the most recent occasion in July of 2024 and told to have no contact with Tara?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember that? You were also told not to violate laws while on bond?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it true that on October 25th, when the police officer pulled you over, that you had Tara in your vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were violating the no contact order?
Yes.
All right. Is it also true that you were breaking a law at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
additional questions on the factual basis?
Not from the people, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nagel, do you have a position on bond?
Your Honor, I've reviewed the recommendations, including the updated recommendation to include the GPS tether. I agree with the recommendations and ask the court to follow.
Mr. Riley?
And I also find the recommendations to be fair and I think appropriate. Mr. Chapelle tells me he has good contact, a good relationship with his, who I expect to be his supervisor probation officer, Ms. Bayless. So I think he will do well on probation if given the opportunity.
Mr. Chapelle, what would you like to tell me today?
Just saying, all this saying, I'm sorry for keep coming in here for this situation, but I showed initiative getting the job, going to my probation. I will continue to go to my probation. If I gotta go here to report when I get out of here, I'll do so. We're gonna continue to strive to do better.
Based on Mr. Chapelle's failure to appear 1, 2, 3, 4 times, plus being caught in the presence of the protected person, I don't believe Mr. Chapelle is a good candidate for probation at this time. He's disregarded court orders at every turn. For the contempt, the sentence of the court is 20 days jail with credit for the 20 that you have been sitting. For the underlying offense, the sentence is 93 days with credit for 44. There is a $75 crime victim rights fee, $50 state minimum cost, and a $75 fine, which is a total of $200.
So I don't have a bond at all?
So you're being sentenced to jail, sir. That's what happens when you
No, I understand.
disregard court orders.
All right,
So there's a difference. Before you're sentenced, you're on bond. After sentence, you're serving a sentence. There's no bonding out.
okay, I understand now.
Your Honor, if I may, on the jail credit,
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 44 days at the time that the pre-sentence report was.
Yup, and then the 20 days that he just sat went towards the contempt.
I see.
I took that into consideration. He got the
Okay.
20 days on the contempt, and he gets the rest of it on the underlying offense, because they can be consecutive. Mr. Chapelle is making calculated choices to not show up to court and to continue to disregard court orders. And so if he continues to come back on domestic violence charges where he doesn't show up for court and continues to violate court orders, he'll continue to get the maximum sentence from me. 93 days jail, credit 44, $200. I'm going to put by December 30. That's the last business day of the year. If you cannot get your $200 paid by December 30, you need to contact the court and just ask for another extension. I'm going to write you a little reminder of this, just so you have it. Because you don't want to get a warrant over $200. So
So if you don't mind me asking, how many jail days I got?
it's 93 minus good time brings it down to 79, and then credit for 44. So what is 79 minus 44?
35.
35. Bring you a reminder about the $200 so that you, and it has a phone number on here for you to call if you don't have $200 that day. You can
Okay.
call us and ask for more time. Since I gave you jail, you have the right to appeal. If you'd like to appeal my sentence and you need a public defender to assist you, you need to make your application within 14 days.
All right.
Anything else from the lawyers?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
On the record,
So the guy got the definition of mess around and find out. So he kept playing with the court, and finally the court won. Hold on a second, something's happening there. Yeah, so he kept playing around with it, and finally the court won. So, oh well, he gets to go to jail for a while. So that happens, I guess. Thanks so much for y'all coming out. We're still trying to get some kinks out. So Lena's took an Uber today. That's new. I've been in Ubers way too many times. Never been a big fan of them, but never really had a bad conversation in one either. The ones I've been in tend to know to shut up, and it works out great because we just sit there and stare away from each other and just go on about our day. I've had a few Ubers where they brought their kids with them, though. That made it kind of weird. I don't mind anyone hustling, trying to do what they got to do, but I don't want to feed the kid while you're driving. So we're going to jump into Judge O'Donnell. I've got 2 clips for him tonight, so I got to space it out a little bit. Got some Judge Fleischer in the middle and Judge Simpson and some other fun stuff there. So let's jump into Judge O'Donnell. Let's do one where someone's fighting him for leniency. So let's see how that goes. Let's see. Going to see. I got to learn how to do all this. This is more work now. Here we go.
Charged from jail treatment program on August 19th. You understand the charge?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Novotny?
Your Honor, today we're going to waive the final hearing amidst the violation forthcoming today.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
What's your plea to the allegation?
I'm guilty.
I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty, Ms. Novotny.
Your Honor, we would like you to consider, if possible, to remain on community control with that respect. Hopefully to potentially continue and finish the JTP program with that. Your Honor, I did submit some exhibits, specifically 5, that informs the court about the hydrocephalus that my client has suffered from. In 2009, he had neurological surgery on that, which ultimately, several of the documents have ultimately come to tale that such surgery has affected with the mix of his puberty, testosterone influx, and the surgical procedure has impacted his executive functioning, which causes ultimately his impulse control or his executive functioning or thinking to become an issue. So that has been a battle for Mr. McDonald here. He's been trying to work with that. He's been working with the Cleveland Clinic. He's been working with Applewood Center's mental health and other mental health providers to help keep that intact, as well as to find ways that he can cooperate or ultimately diminish the impulsivity urges, as well as monitor those primary issues that he's been experiencing. In one of the specific exhibits that I provided to the court, ultimately, such surgery with the testosterone influx has caused a degree of interference in his functioning with social impairment, which is no excuse for what has occurred here, but ultimately may make an explanation for it, and Andrew understands that. Ultimately, he does show remorse for what has occurred. He just would like another opportunity to show the court, as well as to maintain the treatment that he's getting for his neurological disorder. And he has been constantly working with the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities with this, and he's receiving help and disability for such disorder. We're just asking for any leniency with this probation violation, Your Honor, and to consider him for community control.
Mr. McDonald, what do you want to tell me?
Well, in the jail, it is very difficult to, not necessarily cooperate, but to keep a good, I don't want to say attitude, but to just be positive. It's just very, because with the correctional officers having bad days and them coming in, and it's just, and with me, I have a very hard time with, them people younger than me coming in scolding me because they're having a bad day and things of that nature, and people in JTP hearing them scold me and they knowing I have, a chip on my shoulder and I'm on a thin line. It's just difficult to, really I've been dealing with this jail for 9 months, and it's very mentally disturbed me. I don't feel as though I'm getting any mental health treatment, even with JTP. I don't think it was, but if you give me another opportunity, I know for sure I will complete it. I'm not making any excuses. I could have sat, and completed the program. Me being who I am, I like to play around, and I guess I did too much of it. So I'm gonna own up to the fact that I, didn't complete JTP, and it was my fault. But I know for a fact if I get the chance to, I will successfully complete community control. I just want a shot at the community. And I'm just hoping you recognize that.
You've been You've been in and out of courts for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Got a felony in March of 21.
That is when it started, the felonies.
Right. And it didn't stop then, right?
No, sir.
Okay. You got a misdemeanor out of Shaker Heights Muni, felony out of Richmond Heights for drugs, another felony, Cuyahoga, protection order violations twice within 6 days in Shaker Heights Court. Another one that was a felony, Cuyahoga. Failure to comply with the order or signal of a police officer, June 12th, 23. Another one in Eastlake in October 20 of 23. So 4 months later. And then 7 days later, 10 days later, you get this one. So why do you keep doing this?
Well, initially, drugs were a big issue for me. You know, the uses of drugs, but now that I've been in here, this is the longest I've ever been away from my family, the community. I don't want to keep spending my life in jail. This is not the place for me at all.
Well, see, I put you on community control despite the nature of this offense. And this offense is police try to stop you and you decide you ain't gonna stop. And then you proceed to go in excess of 100 miles an hour. And this is 10 days after you had another one, which was 4 months after you had another one. So you don't seem to want to do what you're supposed to do. Now, I put you on community control for 5 years. And because of the drugs, I put you in the jail treatment program, and you didn't want to do it. You got kicked out of it. Because the next step was to continue the psychiatric treatment.
Yes, sir.
And everything else that goes along with it. Okay. So Ms. Novotny talks about your medical condition, and that's, your medical condition is your medical condition. It may cause you to do things or not, I don't know, okay? But if it does, you need to figure out how to control that. And you're not making the effort to do that. If you were making the effort to do that, you wouldn't get kicked out of jail treatment program. I mean, running from the cops and going 100 miles an hour in and out of traffic is dangerous. But you keep doing it, and you know it's dangerous. But despite that, I put you on community control. But you don't want to do that either, or you wouldn't have got kicked out of that program. And from what I understand now, from what you're saying, you're blaming other people for agitating you so that you got kicked out.
I take full responsibility, sir.
Well, you may say that. Those are nice words, but what you're telling me is the COs were taking it out on you because they had a bad day. Other inmates were giving you nonsense. So at some point, you just got to stop doing this stuff because you're putting people in danger. I don't know what's going on with that Cuyahoga case. It's been pending for 14 or 15 months, and I don't really care, okay? But you are a danger, because of the way you conduct yourself. And when we attempt to put things in place to treat that, you don't want to do it. How many days does he have, Dave, total?
Judge, he has credit for 204 days total.
All right, I'm gonna find that you're no longer amenable to community control, so I'm gonna terminate your community control, and I'm gonna sentence you to 24 months in prison with credit for 208 days. When you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority. They'll put conditions on you. If you violate the conditions, the parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If the violation's a new felony, and you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for that violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. Anything else, Ms. Novotny?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
We're adjourned.
I think I just turned Discord off. I guess the new computer, it had to download again. I guess it started throwing all the alerts back up. So now my phone's going off. I don't know who's doing all that, but that's what you get, Allie. You started blowing up the damn Discord. Now it's going crazy. So we're not going to do Court Addict tonight. We're going to try to alternate Court Addict and American Courts. That way we're not having everybody switch from one channel to the other. We're going to try to do longer shows and try to run it out like that. And so maybe we'll see how that works out. Maybe it works out better for everybody. But we are going to do. We're going to do. Let's go to a quick one. I got a real quick one of. Let's see if I can get this. Let's look at some Judge Fleischer from this morning. Or not.
Will be appointed to you, man.
All right, let's see how that goes.
You were Daniel Segarra?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Segarra, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with assault, bodily injury. You're also charged with terroristic threat. You're facing up to a year in jail on the assault case. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine on the terroristic threat. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say.
Amanda, this judge is out of Houston, Texas. It's Harris County. It's probably on the eastern side of Texas, somewhere in there. He's a new judge. We just started seeing him on YouTube the other day, so we're going to show him a little bit more often. But yeah, Amanda, this is I think his name's Judge Fleischer. I'm not sure. There's somebody in the chat help Amanda out there.
Say can will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. Okay. Officers were dispatched to a bar in Harris County, Texas in response to a disturbance. The first complainant, the bartender, told the officers that he refused to serve the defendant alcohol because he appeared to be intoxicated. The defendant became angry and began yelling at the first complainant and other patrons. The second complainant, the bouncer, then approached the defendant and told him to leave. The second complainant reported that the defendant was continuously reaching for his hip and motioning as if he had a firearm. The defendant then stated, "Y'all are going to get these hollow points. Touch me and y'all are going to get it. I'm going to fire this motherfucker out." The second complainant once again told the defendant to leave, and the defendant pushed the second complainant on his chest, causing pain.
You look to see if he's on probation or parole, by chance.
Doesn't appear he's on probation, Your Honor.
Mrs. Segarra, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using alcohol or drugs, I'm going to put you in jail. I will deem you a public danger, and I'm going to make your bond sky high. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
No alcohol, no dope, no illegal drugs, no going back to this location, and no weapons. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
It's funny, every time he starts to read, everybody wants to start talking on chat like the judge is reading comments in the middle of the hearing.
Mr. Cigar, I want you to understand that I'm going to do everything in my power to protect the public, and I don't care if I have to put you in jail kicking and screaming. Everything in my power to protect the public at all costs. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Don't make any false moves. Don't go to any bars. Don't go to any establishments where the primary purpose is consuming alcohol. There are some people in life, when they consume alcohol, they become happy, giddy, like little bunnies jumping in the woods. And then there's some that turn into Jekyll and Hyde and develop horns. I don't know what kind you are, but if that happens, no alcohol. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You have a lawyer. It's your responsibility to stay in touch with the lawyer. She will tell you if and when you have to come back to court. If she tells you that she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games, likewise, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. You will not get any more PR bonds. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I do.
Have you signed the reset with Victoria? After that, you'll get a pre-trial for your bond conditions, and then we'll have you take a seat, sir.
Let him sign for your reset. All right, Judge, the next arraignment, Spanish speaker, is page 16. Martinez, come on up. Martinez Velasquez.
Danielle Free. Ms. Free, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am. Okay.
On November 6, 2024, officers conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's motor vehicle after observing it speeding 55 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone in the 7800 block of Spencer Highway. Upon contact with the defendant, the officer detected an odor of an alcoholic beverage on the defendant's breath, and standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 3 out of 8, and one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant admitted to drinking and to taking prescription muscle relaxers on occasion. The officer located a case of twisted teas in the defendant's motor vehicle with 2 open cans of twisted teas, 1 in each cup holder. And
So consuming while driving?
There were 2 open cans in the cup holders, yes, Your Honor. And DICs were read, and the defendant consented to blood.
Ms. Free, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm now ordering you not to drive. Do you understand? You are not allowed to drive any vehicle whatsoever for any reason. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. If I find that you do, I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you drive. Do you understand? I'm also ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. You will be randomly tested. If you consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication, likewise, you will go to jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand? Any prior DWIs, Alex?
No, Your Honor.
Any prior criminal history at all?
She has a prior racing on a highway that was dismissed earlier this year.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Free? Why?
I just graduated nursing school, so I was a CNA and caregiver in an independent care facility. But right now I help take care of my great grandma, so it's just a lot at once.
So how do you support yourself? How do you eat?
I live with my grandparents and I help them take care of her. She can't take care of herself. She has dementia and a mental disorder.
I'll fill out an application for you. I need to know everything about you, how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, any source of income that you have, money in the bank, stocks, bonds, IRAs. I'll have you fill out an application, but I need to know everything about you. Don't just put zeros because I'm going to send it right back to you.
Yes.
Do you understand? And I'll see whether you qualify. Above all else, do not drive. Do you understand? There's no justification that you can give for getting in a car. Likewise, don't consume alcohol or drugs. If you have a problem, you better address it, because if you don't, I'm going to do it for you. Promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. You understand? Okay. Do you mind giving me an application, please? Good morning, Ms. Furlow. Ma'am, you're charged with terroristic threat. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Officers were dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas in response to a disturbance. The complainant stated they were in their car and backing out of their driveway when the defendant parked behind them. The defendant then got out of her car and started banging on the complainant's vehicle while shouting obscenities and threats. The defendant also tried to gain entry into the complainant's vehicle. Specifically, the defendant stated she was going to whoop their ass, and the complainant stated they were in fear for their lives during the incident. The officers discovered the defendant is a coworker of one of the complainant's family members.
Owner, boss.
So the threat is what?
The threat is she was banging on the door and said, "I'll whoop your ass."
I have it on camera.
Ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this person and not to be in possession of weapons, okay?
Hired.
What do you do for a living, ma'am?
I own a fleet company, 3 trucks, and they're my drivers for the road, my OTR drivers.
Okay.
So they just basically stole my vehicles.
All right, I'm going to stop there real quick. Patricia and me were having a little conversation about. I don't drink alcohol, but I could just assume that if I was drinking, I'd be driving with it. I guess it's worse to have it with you than it is to, I guess, drink at the bar or the restaurant and then leave without it. It just seems to me that, I guess with me, I grew up around everyone drank around where I was at, and it always seemed like you would grab It seems like you'd grab your drinks and drink them on the way. That's why they gave them to you in the bags like that. That's why they sell singles. I just couldn't, for the life of me, understand the whole idea of an open container being worse than being drunk in general. I don't know. I guess I'm the type that wants to. I think everybody should get graded, and because some people some people are more sober at .04 than I am at .00. So I don't know. I'm learning about the alcohol part. This is part of the learning journey for me.
We are going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign and reset. We'll have you take a seat in the jury box while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it, and then you'll be free to go. When you come back, please have a lawyer, okay?
Okay, but I move out of state next month, so I just talked to them about.
We'll have you sign a reset, and then we'll just take a seat while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign the bond conditions, and then you'll be free to go, okay? Please. If you can file no contact, no weapons.
Next judge is Garcia.
This guy was good. This was an emotional one there. This was pretty strong.
You don't have the heater on, do you?
No.
Please, no heater. Thank you so much for coming. What is the gentleman's name? Oh, is it Gideon? Are you Mr. Gideon? Shh. Mr. Gideon? Good morning, sir. Mr. Gideon, you are charged with assault of a family member. Do you understand the charge against you? You are facing a year in jail and/or a $4,000 fine. We need to do probable cause. I need to find out what happened. So we're going to do that real quick. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Is he okay to understand everything? Yeah? Okay. All right. So we're going to do that real quick. We'll find out what happened, okay?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, go slow, Alex, please. No. Stay here. Stay here. We need to just find out what happened.
Yes, Judge. The complainant and the defendant are mother and son. The officers were dispatched to apartments in Harris County, Texas, in response to a family disturbance. The complainant told the officers that the defendant is diagnosed with mental disabilities and that he is known to wander away from the residence. The defendant was upset because he was not being allowed to leave and grabbed the complainant on the forearm, squeezing it with full strength and causing scratches, bleeding, and pain.
Is mom here?
She was, he asked her to leave. I just asked her to step out, she wasn't properly dressed for court, so. Yes.
Can you bring her in, please?
Yes, if she, I went out there a few weeks ago, I didn't see her.
It's okay. Hopefully we can find her. Mind just hanging out with us? I'd like to wait until mom comes, so we left all the way. Do you want to call her? Do you want to call to see if she's? You can use it here. That's fine. Just call her.
I like how the judge is giving them more time on this. This is good. Just being patient.
Johnson. Need a bond set.
They're not coming to get her. It's an ag assault. 50,000. But I mean,
She's not even out from the phone. I'm sorry, she's not even out from the phone.
do you think she'll come back? I mean, we can wait. There's no rush. If you want to just like, sure, take your time, but just don't leave though, because I want to give you guys a lawyer and I want to talk about how to go forward. And I'd like to talk to or right over there, just wherever you want, but don't leave, guys. Okay?
I know.
Okay.
I'm right here.
Yeah, take your time. No rush. Hi.
Oh, hi.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. You're the complaining witness in this case, so you obviously know what happened. We've done probable cause. I think that there is enough probable cause to go forward.
He has autism,
Correct.
and sometimes he has behaviors, and so that's what happened. And the only thing.
I don't want to talk about the case because in an effort to protect him, I've got a bunch of DAs here, and everything you say, they can use it against him to prove punishment and guilt. So I don't want to do that. I can give you a lawyer today, and we can go forward and try to figure out how to go forward. Whenever I have these types of cases, I usually order, no contact or no threatening or harassing. I don't want to do anything yet. What I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, talk to Lori. I'd like to appoint her on your case, and then we can figure out how to go forward. I'll give you anything you need, just if you need any resources, just let us know. We can try to help you out as much as we can, Okay, Lori, do you mind?
Have a seat and I'll come and talk to you. Okay.
So just thank you so much for coming. We'll try to help you out, okay? Of course. Thank you.
Mendoza, Your Honor.
Thanks. Miguel Angel? Yeah. Are you Miguel Mendoza? Mr. Mendoza, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
On November 6th, 2024, the officer was flagged down by a citizen stating they observed the defendant on the feeder road of South Houston Parkway operating a motor vehicle while hanging out of the window, swerving, and then drove over the curb and came to a stop in the grass.
Did you say he was hanging out of a window?
Yes, the witness observed him hanging out the window.
The driver?
Yes, Your Honor. And the witness advised that the defendant exited the vehicle, threw himself to the ground, began behaving erratically, was having difficulty breathing, was in a panic, was panting, and repeatedly would tighten to a fetal position, and then would straighten out. The defendant advised the officers and EMS that he had consumed cocaine prior to driving. The officer observed the defendant with red, bloodshot eyes, had difficulty forming words when speaking, was unable to stand on his own, was in a panic, and was behaving erratically. Standard field sobriety tests were not administered due to the defendant being unable to stand on his own and had to be transported. A blood warrant was signed and executed.
You don't have the results yet, do you? That's not cocaine, that's something else. Mr. Mendoza, I'm gonna find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now sending you for a drug test. You're to go take a test and then you're to come right back. Do you understand? If you fail to take the test, if you fail to come back, I'm gonna revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand? Do you have a valid Texas driver license? Run his license, please.
Yes,
Do you have liability insurance in your name? I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. If you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, I'm giving you the opportunity to address it yourself now because you're on bond. If I see that it becomes a problem, we're going to do it my way, and I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand?
Your Honor, his license is eligible.
Any prior DWIs?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I want to send him for a test. You come back and then we'll talk about your lawyer situation. Right.
Go ahead and just write down the phone number.
Hey, will you reach out to your lawyer? Reach out to your lawyer. Yeah. I want to talk to him. Yeah. Try to reach out to him, will you? You're fine. You're doing good. Yeah. Stay. I need to talk to him. Go reach out to him, please. Felicia. Note the results. Positive or coke? Here.
Well, at least he wasn't lying.
Phone number so you can give it to.
I'm chatting you his phone number, Hugh. So Mr. Mendoza tested positive for cocaine.
Okay, is he on bond right now, or I guess he's out? Okay, is this his
He's on
first
bond
setting?
for now.
Okay, is this his first setting, or
Look at me. The dope stops now. Do you understand? You test positive for cocaine, marijuana, anything else anymore, I'm going to put you in jail and I'm going to make your bond. Do you understand? If you cannot stop, I will have a contempt hearing, hold you in contempt, slap you with 180 days, probate for 2 years, and put you in a rehab facility. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I am giving you the opportunity to stop using now. If I find that you're using, I don't care what you come up here and try to explain to me. I've got a prescription from England that tells me that I need to use cocaine. I don't give a rat's behind what your excuse is. You use, you will stay with me. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know if Mr. Mendoza has a Texas driver license? Mr. Mendoza, this is an affidavit. This is an affidavit that you're going to sign with me today, promising me that you're not going to use marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, any illegal drug, or unprescribed controlled medication. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
I've given you a lawyer. It is your responsibility to stay in touch with him. I am now going to test you at least 2 times a week so that I know that you're not using. Cocaine stays in your system about 3 to 4 days. So I'm going to test you at least 2 times a week so that I know that you're not using. And the next time you test, you will stay with me.
Sure.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll have you come up here, swear test that you're not going to use. I'm going to have you get a Victoria sign and reset. We'll get you with Felicia for your bond conditions. And then as soon as you step out of here, we're going to have you talk with Hugh. And then I will see you back here on Monday to take another test.
Thank
All
you,
right?
Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Mendoza.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump to another Judge O'Donnell one. I didn't see the time starting to get away from me, so let me jump over to the O'Donnell one, and then I got a really good Judge Simpson one for today. So let's go to Judge O'Donnell.
Last year, on August 27th of this year, at that time, the defendant withdrew her previous entered plea of not guilty and entered a plea of guilty to count 1, amended count 2, amended count 5, amended count 7, amended count 16, count 25, count 27, count 28, and amended count 30. This court ordered a pre-sentence report, psychological evaluation, and victim impact statements, and set sentencing for today. The state has had an opportunity to review the probation reports and is prepared to proceed with sentencing at this time.
I don't think I have ever seen a pre-sentence report as, just gonna say awful, as the one that I read about Ms. Cochran. Never really thought that I'd read the words that at the age of 1, a client of mine was dunked in a pot of boiling water by her mother. The abuse continued throughout her entire childhood. Between foster homes, she was adopted by another couple. There was abuse in that relationship. Obviously, this upbringing led to major mental health issues for Ms. Cochran. She's been hospitalized multiple times, multiple suicide attempts, suffers from borderline personality disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression. Yet somehow, we're now here with her at age 32, this being the first time she's ever been involved in the felony system. And I think that what that speaks to is that at her heart, Ms. Cochran is not a criminally minded individual. I do think that she became homeless earlier this year. She associated herself with her co-defendant, and don't know which one influenced the other, but the two of them certainly together were.
Well, they're each blaming each other.
Yes,
so.
yes, they are. But what is undeniable is that the combination of the two together was a very toxic relationship. They set down a path of basically driving around in the car that they were living in, stealing tip jars, credit cards, and then there was the interaction with the police that led Ms. Cochran on the chase that we know created a tremendous amount of damage, pain, inconvenience for a tremendous number of people. Most important underlying issue to be resolved with Ms. Cochran is her mental health. The prosecution and I are entering into a joint recommendation for community control. It is the defense's recommendation that Ms. Cochran be ordered to enter and complete the 30 to 90 day on average program at Everett Clinic, where we have had her assessed. She has been accepted. We have an email that was sent to us last night from the Everett Clinic saying she's able to be admitted. That could be as early as next week if the court would permit. We do feel that given her lack of criminal history and the obvious issues and challenges that she has faced over the course of her life, that getting this opportunity to address what we feel is the most serious issue that she has to deal with. Her mental health is the best chance that we have at Ms. Concord not returning to this court in the future, Your Honor. Thank you.
Doesn't it make sense that the fact that she's 32 doesn't have a record with her horrible upbringing? Doesn't it make sense that her engagement in treatment throughout the years staved that off?
Treatment for her
mental
health issues?
Sure.
That the fact that she received mental health treatment is why?
Engaged in mental health treatment.
Yes.
Got her to a stable point where she wasn't committing crimes. Isn't that safe to presume since she's 32 with no record?
I would say it's one of the factors.
It's unlikely that she was running around committing crimes, not getting caught, right? I mean.
That I think is unlikely, yes.
Okay.
I do think that what she indicated in her pre-sentence report was that at the time that these offenses were committed, she was homeless, she was not taking her mental health medications, very likely self-medicating with the methamphetamine and cocaine.
Right.
And we are looking to get her back to the state, hopefully, that, as the court indicated, is probably what kept her out of trouble all those years.
Okay. Ms. Cochran, what do you want to tell me?
I just want to thank you for your time, and I want to apologize for all the people that I hurt. I really truly did not mean to do that. I honestly have been through a lot, and I just need help, and I'm sorry. And one of the people I've hurt the most, I've known for quite a few years, and I stole from her, and I'm sorry for the person that I hurt at that house, and I'm sorry for the damage that I did, and I'm truly sorry to everybody. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say, and thank you.
Where were you coming from when you drove?
I was coming from Mr. Heroes. The person that I was dating robbed Mr. Heroes in a Starbucks, and the police were behind us, and I'm taking some at fault of what happened. My boyfriend told me to just out-chase him, and that's what I did. And I don't know why, it just blanked out and couldn't make the turn, and I hit the house.
How fast were you going?
Well, 65, probably, maybe 65.
Any other cars on the street?
It came to a red light, and I still kept going. I think it went to like a yellow light, and then I just still kept going, and I tried to make the turn, and I didn't, and I hit the house.
So when was the plan hatched to rob Mr. Hero?
Honestly, I didn't know he was going to rob the Mr. Heroes.
What did you think he was doing?
He told me he had an interview at Mr. Heroes. So I took him to Mr. Heroes, and I waited for him, and he told me just go, and I pulled out, and the cop was behind us.
Okay, and what did he tell you when the cop got behind you?
He said, just keep going. So I did.
Did you say why? You just...
No,
okay,
but I knew I'm going to be honest, I knew Starbucks. I knew he robbed Starbucks.
When did he rob Starbucks in relation to when you were at Mr. Hero?
He robbed Starbucks before Mr. Heroes.
So you went from Starbucks on Lakeshore to Mr. Hero on Vine Street?
Yes.
And so you had a really good idea when he got in the car at Mr. Hero that he had done the same thing at Mr. Hero, right?
No, I didn't know. He said he did. He did say he had an interview, though.
Okay, well,
that
he's
morning.
a thief, right? So why would you trust that he's stealing from Starbucks and then going for an interview to Mr. Hero?
I get what you're saying. Honestly,
So why didn't you stop when you saw the police with their lights and their siren?
I don't know. I don't know. Just kept
Well, you
going.
wanted to get away, right?
Yeah, I've never been in trouble, and I got scared.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Now, How long have you been engaging in mental health treatment?
Ever since I was about 9.
Okay. And you did that consistently into your 30s?
Yes. And I was being mentally abused and physically abused when I was adopted and raped for 8 years. And I couldn't take it anymore. And just things went bad, that downhill. I've just been through a lot.
When did things go downhill?
Ever since I was burned as a child. It started there, and then it ended when it started when I was 9 again, after in and out of foster homes. I was adopted 9/11, and then re-entered into abuse again, and it's just been ongoing since. So every day for 32 years I've been abused, but I also got help. I didn't want to live that way, so I got help.
When did you get help?
9.
Okay. And you continued, your last treatment was with Crossroads?
Yes, I started at Crossroads in Menor with Margie Barbera, and then I continued Crossroads all the way to Signature Health, to Crossroads again.
And your last treatment with Crossroads, were you on medication?
Yes, it was in March.
What medication?
I was on Prazosin, Depakote, and there's 3 other ones. I can't remember the name of them because the way they're spelled, it's hard to pronounce them.
Okay. Were you taking it as you were supposed to take it?
Every day, yes.
Were you able to stabilize yourself for a period of time?
Yes.
So what happened with this character that you were with? Where'd you meet him?
Honestly, I met him on Facebook.
What do you mean you met him on Facebook?
We were talking on Facebook for a year, and then we started dating, and then I moved in with him, and he was getting evicted, so we ended up moving into a car.
Where were you living before that?
My mom.
Okay.
But I also had an apartment for a while, so I was living on my own.
I guess that was kind of my question to Mr. Matthews before, is with the terrible upbringing and the abuse, you were able to stabilize yourself to the point where you could do those things, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's with the drugs?
I hated my life. Because everything I've been through, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I just wish every hit that I did or every poke that I did, that maybe it would just end. I couldn't do it anymore.
All right, well.
And it brought me into bad upbringing with a boyfriend who didn't care anything about me.
So you didn't start using drugs until you met him?
Yes.
What kind of drugs?
Meth and crack.
Where were you getting it?
In Cleveland.
Where at?
Cleveland Heights, South Euclid.
So what do you remember about this accident?
I just remember driving, and I was nervous from him robbing Starbucks, and he went into Mr. Heroes. I was waiting for him, and then he told me to go. Had something in his hand, and he was reaching in his pocket, and then I pulled out, and I was turning right at that light by Mr. Heroes, and then I went to go turn right, and then he was behind me. He had his lights on, and he told me to keep going, and I listened, and I kept going, and I kept going, and then I thought I could make the light, and I didn't. I was going really fast, like 65, and I went to go turn, and I missed the turn and hit a house. It happened so quick, and it was really scary.
What do you mean it was scary?
It was scary because life flashed before my eyes.
Well, you knew you were gonna crash prior to the crash, right?
No,
You didn't know that when you lost
I don't know.
control
It
of
just, I wasn't thinking. It was just, everything was happening so quick. I just wasn't thinking what I was thinking. It was like my mind was somewhere else.
I mean, imagine the shock that Miss McLaughlin encountered and Mr. Champagne encountered when they're minding their own business, going about their business, and everything changes in a second.
I know that was partially because of me. And I'm taking responsibility for what I did. And I've been regretting every moment of it since that day that happened. And I struggle with it.
When you say partially responsible, what do you mean partially responsible?
I take responsibility for the thefts that I did, the people I've hurt, the things that I've done to get me here.
Tell me what thefts you're taking responsibility for.
I did take money
From where?
from some people. I did take debit cards.
From where?
I took a couple things from one of the people that I've known for a while. I took one of her debit cards.
What were the circumstances of that?
I'm trying to get drugs.
I know, but where was this person that you knew? Where did you get her card?
At a bar.
At what bar?
Playaway Lounge. I took her book bag, and there was some kind of AA card in it, and I tried using it. I took her bag there, and then I went to another bar.
Why did you go to another bar?
To drink.
Okay. How long had you known this person?
Since 3+ years, I've known her.
Where else did you steal from?
It's mainly him who did it, but I did take money. I told him it wasn't a good idea to take all the debit cards because they were going to be able to, because he was using so many, they were going to be able to track him.
How did you know that?
Because we were talking about it, and he said something about they're going to be able to track where we're going. And then we stole one debit card, and we went to a gas station in Wycliffe, and we were trying to put gas in his car to pump. And he's like, we shouldn't do this anymore. So, and it kept going from there, and then we were getting drunk, or we were getting high, and then we just kept doing it. And then leading up to the crash. And then we stopped. So we got arrested.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me?
No, I do not.
Mr. Downey?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, it's striking how traumatic, in reading the pre-sentence report, the defendant's upbringing was. I agree with Mr. Matthews that it's one of the worst things I've seen as far as somebody's childhood and how they were set up for failure. So it's expected that the defendant would continue to struggle with that in her adult life. I also believe, on the other side, the defendant still minimizes her conduct and deflects blame. She doesn't see the need for drug and alcohol treatment, despite her use of drugs leading to this. Even if she was not the one physically going into the stores and stealing for each one of these, she assisted and aided and abetted in those by driving the car, and so she is equally as responsible. the defendant also doesn't seem to, at least through a pre-sentence report, have a clear path forward. She states that she hates her co-defendant for what she says is ruining her life, but then also says that she's not going to leave him because he's her first love. And I think it's easy to be very angry about her conduct, especially with the crash that ended everything. She caused leading up to that, she caused widespread harm to many people and businesses throughout the county during a crime spree, but then this culminated in this significant harm that was solely her doing. And those actions alone, I believe, justify prison. The harm that she caused justifies prison. The pain and the anger she causes justifies prison, and she should face consequences for her actions. On the other side of things, she is young, and if the goal is to prevent this conduct from happening in the long-term future, then I think what makes sense is intensive, inpatient, residential, dual diagnosis treatment that encompasses whatever she was doing before, plus some, because it appears that over time things have gotten worse. So the state is in agreement with the community control sanctions to the extent that it's not prison, but I believe that what is appropriate in this case from the state's perspective and our recommendation is that this is a lengthy and intensive period of community control with everything that is required to prevent this from happening again. And if she does not comply with this, then it's the state's intention to request that her community control be terminated and that she be sent to prison for a lengthy period of time. Because at that point, if she is not willing to comply with what is necessary to conform her conduct so she's not a danger to society, then she just has to be separated from society.
All right, I have reviewed the pre-sentence report, the psychological evaluation, the victim impact statements, listen to Ms. Cochran, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Downing. And I've considered all the provisions of 292911, 292912, and 292913. With everything that the attorneys have talked about and you've talked about, I would concur this is one of the worst social history aspects of a pre-sentence report that I've seen. Despite that, to a certain degree, you managed to overcome that and function as an adult who was able to carry on a job, have a residence, and so to a certain degree, to a great degree, you knew what to do in order to try to function, and you did it. Proof that you knew how to do it is that you did it. And then if you are to be believed in this case, you hadn't used drugs, and then you start with the meth, with this Saluski or whatever his name is. And so that threw everything out of kilter, threw your mental health condition out of kilter, certainly. Because I've yet to see a case where mixing illicit drugs with prescription drugs actually does any good, does immense harm. So, I mean, it's bad enough in and of itself that you're thieving from your friend and you're running in and taking tip jars and all that nonsense. It's like it's kind of less severe version of Bonnie and Clyde, you two, running around stealing stuff out of stores. Until you decide you're gonna run from the cops. And that's where this thing takes a horrific turn. Because it's bad enough when people run from the cops, when the attempt is made to stop them. Because they're not, because the person who's driving the car, in this case you, knew that you had to stop and refused to stop. And by virtue of the fact that you're going 65 miles an hour down that street, if that's all you were going, is inherently dangerous. And Saluski, I'm sure, like many other people in this situation, figured if you would run fast enough that they would stop chasing you, which is what they do because of the danger of everybody else on the road. So they stop and they try to clean it up another day, okay? But you didn't stop. That danger presented itself almost immediately, because you rammed right into Mr. Champagne and Miss McLaughlin's house. And I think Mr. Downing is spot on in saying that had you not hit 512, you'd have gone right through the side of that house and probably killed everybody inside of it. And so that does two things at that point. One is she's got serious injuries that this is June 19th, right? So 4 months ago, that haven't gone away, despite treatment. The second thing is that's the physical side of it. The mental side of it is that she replays that in her mind. Mr. Champagne, because of various complicating factors that already existed, replays that in his mind. And his son replays that in his mind. And talks about that frequently. So that's what you did. And it doesn't matter that Saluski told you to drive away. You drove away. You didn't have to listen to him. You knew he was, you knew he, you're kind of minimizing things from the standpoint that you didn't know everything he was doing. You know what he was doing. You know what he was doing. And you knew that since he just stole from Starbucks 5 minutes before, you knew he was going in to steal from Mr. Hero. And so you were a part of those thefts, a full part of those thefts. But you made the decision that you were going to drive away for whatever reason, most notably that you wanted to get away, and you caused that damage, which those folks are living with today, Mr. Champagne and Miss McLaughlin, and they're not going to have the physical property part of this solved anytime soon. Best case scenario, they'll have a stable structural house maybe next summer. Best case scenario. And they're having to fight with an insurance company in order to do so. All because you decided you didn't want to stop because you'd never been in trouble before. So you've got to live with the consequences of your action. There's restitution that, and Mr. Downing, make sure I get everything here, that I'm going to order. Giovanni's $42. Giuseppe's $30. Soundstage, $20. Dollar General, $134. Westel's, $36.85. Morelli, $100. Lino's, $12.25. Pulp, $15. What's cheese? What was it? Cheese what?
Big cheese, $10.
Big cheese, $10. Clemensic, $12. Mr. Hero, $25.
I never want to be in court and hear that I owe Mr. Hero $25 or big cheese $10. That's just silly.
Soundstage, $20. Mugshots, $30. Mr. Collins, $400. Ms. Nielsen, $768. Mr. Champagne, $700. Ms. McLaughlin, $1,358.22. Is that everybody?
Starbucks, $15. And
Starbucks, $15.
And for Giuseppe's, you said 30, it's $35.
Giuseppe's, $35. So there's restitution that you owe for those folks. And as Mr. Downing said, there's likely to be more, but that may be the insurance company chasing you at some point in the future.
I'm sorry, I missed one. Marco's, $10.
Marco's, $10. Okay. So with regard to the sentence in this case, after consideration of everything, I'm going to find that at this point, you're not amenable to community control. On count 1, 180 days in jail. Count 2, 180 days in jail. Count 5, 180 days in jail. Count 7, 12 months in prison. Count 16, 12 months in prison. Count 25, 12 months in prison. Count 27, 12 months in prison. Count 28, 36 months in prison. Count 29, 18 months in prison. Count 28 and 29 will be consecutive to one another because those sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime and for appropriate punishment, and they are not disproportionate to the seriousness of your conduct and the danger that you pose to the public. And at least 2 of these offenses were committed as a part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm is so great or unusual that no single prison term adequately reflects the seriousness of the conduct. All the remaining counts will be concurrent to 28 and 29. When you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority. Is that a 1 to 3, Mr. Downey?
1 to 3, Your Honor.
1 year, at least 1 year, up to 3 years with conditions. If you violate the conditions, the parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If that violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. The items subject to forfeiture are forfeited. The remaining counts are dismissed. On count 28, 5-year driver's license suspension. The costs are assessed. Anything else, Mr. Downey?
Credit.
Credit for how many days?
108 days, Your Honor.
108 days credit. Anything else, Mr. Matthews?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, we're adjourned.
Well, that's a lot of charges. Did they say she had a clean record before? Because it seemed like she'd been in trouble for a while. So I don't know. Everybody look at the Painted Blonde's profile picture. That's a really cool profile picture. We're going to go to a short Judge Webster one and then go to Judge Simpson. So Judge Webster's one only about 3 minutes. She gets on to one guy and then another guy jumps on and does the same damn thing. So let's jump to that.
I'm going to recess for just a moment. Lane Frost, come back on your screen. What are you smoking? What are you smoking? What are you smoking?
I don't know if it's.
I love how he keeps hiding his face.
Click on that red button. What are you smoking? Don't click anymore.
No.
Now,
Can you hear me now?
what are you smoking?
I'm not smoking anything, Your Honor.
What am I seeing coming from your mouth or nose that looks like smoke?
It could be the blur or the reflection. I have no idea.
You know that lying to a court can get you in a lot of trouble,
Yeah, no.
and you're not smoking anything.
No, ma'am.
What'd you say that was I've been seeing coming out of your mouth or nose?
No, I'm saying it could be the blur from back there. I don't know.
Hmm. After this docket is over, I'm going to replay. And if I see what I think I've been seeing, that's one problem.
Okay.
If I find out you're not telling me the truth, that's a second problem. All right, you may mute. Cecil Zilke. Unmute.
Yes, ma'am. I still had it on mute. I apologize.
Okay, are you smoking?
Yes, ma'am. I'm smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
I apologize. Do you want me to put it out?
Did the deputy tell you not to smoke?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I apologize. I'll put it out. I apologize.
I sent him a message too to quit it.
When did you?
I'm very sorry, Your Honor. I apologize. I put it out. I'm sorry. I sit in my house and
Oh, you're not. You're sitting in my court.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Madam Judge, you're correct. I am in your court. I apologize. I put it out and I'm very sorry.
All right. Mute and don't do it again.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll contemplate whether finding you in contempt or not, because the officer and I both told you at the beginning not to be smoking in court. Don't do anything right now.
Madam Judge, I came into the court late, and so
Well, that's a problem too. You don't come into court late. You come into court at the time you're told to, or you're ordered to. I think you better stop talking and not make things any more worse for you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
Mute. Stop talking, mute until I call your name again, because it
Yes,
can
ma'am.
only get worse for you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's 3 violations right there: coming in late, not doing what you were told, and smoking. And I hope everyone else is paying attention.
For cause case, People versus Stephen Hentel.
Dr. Lonnie, people.
Your Honor, I did file referrals to mental health court and a request for an adjournment.
Yes. 5th or the 12th?
The 12th, please.
I picked it. I don't even know why I asked. Probable cause conference, December 12th, 2024, 9 a.m. Bond continued.
Your Honor, may I address bond, please?
Yes. And I will happily hear it.
And you're smiling.
Mm-mm. No, not really. But go ahead.
Your Honor, I've had a chance to speak with my client. They are greatly concerned with the conditions at the jail. They also indicate to me that there's been some threats that they are concerned about. My client,
Who's your client concerned about?
yes,
Okay,
that my
go ahead.
client has been threatened at the jail. The main concern is getting some mental health treatment. My client was receiving treatment from a therapist while they were out. They'd like to be able to go back and be able to continue that treatment. They are very eager and anxious to work with the mental health court and to start getting some additional therapies and treatment. At this time, they reside at the Delana Center. Should the court allow release? The current bond is $25,000. There's no 10%. I believe it's a cash bond. They've been in custody since September 1st. I did run the guidelines. I see those at 0 to 6. And the only conviction that I see on their record is a misdemeanor conviction for operating while intoxicated. We would ask for a personal bond for the next court.
Response.
Your Honor, this kind of people would be opposed to any change in bond. I have no information to corroborate that the defendant was receiving mental health treatment before the arrest. However, the defendant was just found competent, and there are significant mental health issues that are behind this case. I believe that defense counsel would agree with that assessment, that this is a person that needs stability, needs resources, needs guidelines, and I'm very concerned about this person going and living at the dilemma shelter without having sort of more set up for them. The incident that led to these charges involved this person running from multiple officers, destroying a windshield, and continuing to fight with the officers. I'm very worried if this person gets out.
There was no fighting whatsoever.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't do that.
Oh, shoot.
Look at me or your attorney. Do not look back.
I didn't understand.
Understood that? You understand what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Was that a yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ms. Landy.
There, the defendant did have to be paid in order to be taken into custody and gave the officers the middle finger. Contact him. I'm not saying these things to berate the defendant's characters. I'm just saying that these things to indicate to the court the level of disorder that appeared to be present in this person's life before they were incarcerated. I'm asking the court to keep the bond, certainly mental health court, evaluates this person and is able to come up with a plan. That's something I'm considering my step in order, but at this time, I don't feel that there are enough guardrails to keep the defendant law-abiding or the community safe.
And certainly, based upon what I see, I'm worried about impulse control also. Motion for bond reduction denied. Bond will continue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court calls the case of the People versus Deron Wilburn. 2 cases.
Quick time for the people.
What? It did. So thank you. Your name, sir?
Deron Wilburn.
Thank you.
Edward Drugas on behalf of Deron Wilburn. Your Honor, 2 different things. One is, I have all the discovery in the current matter, and we would like to set.
In which one?
In both cases.
You have all of them?
I do.
Okay.
It did come to my attention that there's been some phone calls that have been made through jail, and I don't know, I don't have those at this time. He is in custody. I would like to set our matters for an exam at this time.
Would the people have their witnesses available the 26th?
I'm sorry.
Would they have their witnesses available the 26th?
We will do our best.
All right. Is there going to be an issue regarding, well, I'll deal with it in just a second. Preliminary examination in these matters will be set for November 26, 2024. What time?
It's you at 12 p.m.
At 12 p.m. That's before me. That's what I thought. All right. Any other issues we have to deal with on this?
I have a couple.
Yeah, I figured. Go ahead.
My attention, the defendant has called the victim over 70 times.
How many?
Over 70.
70?
Over 70.
70.
More than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
My concern is not just the number of calls, but it is also the content of the calls, including instructive statements, like telling the victim to get the defendant a paid lawyer, telling her to go downtown and quote unquote let them know, saying when the victim said, sure, I did that, but they told me there's nothing that they can do. He said, oh yes, there is. You have to go talk to them face to face. He said, just go and talk to the prosecutor and say you're trying to sign an affidavit. He goes on and talks about how much he loves her, and then says, no matter what they say, just sign the paper, babe, and then I won't have to be sitting here going through none of this shit. I think I'm just a little concerned about their parents and her willingness to participate here. I do just want to put everybody on notice that if she does not appear for exam, I will be filing forfeiture. So that's where I'm at. Today I will be requesting to have her phone number blocked from the jail so he can't contact her from other inmates' PINs. But I'm requesting the court also revoke his phone privileges as well so that we can avoid patching her in through third grade.
Mr. Durkin. In response, certainly I have not reviewed the 911 calls. I do know there was an email sent out yesterday indicating that they were going to be, that I was going to receive them. I certainly will go over those with him. He tells me instruction not to have conversation with her. So I don't expect him to have further conversation with her if that is what is being alleged at this time. So based on that, none of those indications of those statements were that he was telling her not to show up to court. Certainly it discusses the case, but at this time, certainly I don't want his phone privileges to be.
No, we don't know what effect that may have had if those conversations occurred, right? So what I'm going to do is at this point, I'm going to revoke the defendant's phone privileges. So all of his phone privileges are hereby ordered revoked. I will also, like the prosecutor, place the defendant on notice that should it turn out that she does not appear for a preliminary examination and it's before me and the people wish to proceed by forfeiture, the matter will be adjourned out to allow people to file their motion and have an adequate hearing in time to attempt to try to deal with it that way. So if he did interfere and she's not here, the exam won't be going and he'll be sitting. Okay. So he should understand. I will review those. I'll let you explain that to him.
Thank you.
All right.
For the record, Your Honor, I have already requested to have the phone calls released, Mr. Drew, because I made that request yesterday.
All right, so he'll get the phone calls, his phone privileges are revoked, and he's on notice of a potential forfeiture.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That objection.
Wait, what? Am I on that?
What?
Am I on that?
Am I all done?
Well, hold on. You know that I'm adjourning your cases out to December 5th.
What's that mean?
What's what mean? You'll come back and so you're going to meet with your attorney between now and that day, and then you're going to come back and see us.
Do I get to see you again?
Yep, you do.
With your pretty smile?
Yes, I will hopefully be smiling that day. Thank you, Miss Slip.
And I got a joke for you. How do you get the eggs out of the chicken?
Oh boy.
Through the headset.
What?
Through the headset.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Slip. Appreciate it. That will keep me laughing all day.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
You
can
take
I go
care.
now? Can I go?
Yes, you can go now. You're all set.
Hey, bye, Mr. Simpson.
Bye.
God bless you.
See ya.
So that's what I was able to grab today with Judge Simpson. I wasn't able to watch much of it, but it looked like he had a good solid day of just craziness. And so I'm going to look through some more of it and try to see what I can't make into videos. Thank you guys for watching the videos. Thank you for watching the lives. Me and Allie are going to do a lot more of the Court Addict. We're going to do it longer format. We're also going to play around with sometimes during the day. The other day I tried around 3:30 and it seemed to got a good response. Couldn't get YouTube to work, but the crowd seemed to be there. So make sure to send us videos if you want to see certain videos or you want to get some answers. You know, Allie's at least got a different perspective. She sees it from a different angle than what I'll see it from, and so we can talk about it and just kind of discuss it. But yeah, I always like seeing the inmates from this MDOC. I don't Michigan Department of Corrections, I guess. So I guess that's the prison. They seem to have some goofy ones there. So, but it was good to see this lady at least have a good attitude about it. If you're going to be in prison, you might as well be happy. So, Patricia, the punchline was through the exit. How do you get eggs out of a chicken? Through the exit. And so, I think we're done, Allie. Yep. Yep, Allie, I think we're done. You got to turn off the lights. All right. Allie's turning off the lights there. When y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.